Wisconsin Foodie Live, everybody. What's going on? Luke, how you doing?
I'm fresh face, feeling like a
Fresh
million
face,
bucks.
baby.
I know, look at this thing.
If you didn't have the title there, I would not know it was you.
I got to say, like, after last week, last week was rough. Like I had a million pieces move in. I was in Madison. I was helping a friend, watching a little girl. I got my fingernails painted. And I just was feeling kind of, I needed to spice it up a little bit. So I came home from Madison and I talked to my brother, and my brother is like 8 years older than me. And he said on the phone on Saturday morning, he was like, "Man, you look old." And so, Arthur, I knew that, we have a really short, limited window of time before we start filming the next season of Wisconsin Foodie. And that starts, like, for us, right around that May 1st timeline. So I've got between now and May 1st to grow a beard. And I'm going to tell you that this is my superpower. I can grow facial hair like there's no tomorrow.
Yeah, so everybody that's watching right now, if you like, let us know. If you like Luke beardless, type it in the chat if you like his beard a little bit more. We want to hear from you. Because once you have a look established on the show, we can't deviate from that look. So Luke literally has to do trims and cuts every week just to maintain that certain look. So Luke, I'm gonna vote beard. My vote will be for beard.
Okay, one for beard. I actually,
but some people say, I mean, if you didn't make this live stream and you're watching a recording of it, shoot us a message, beard or no beard. Maybe we'll put it on Facebook. I don't know, but it's all about you, Luke. However, if you feel good, if you feel good like that, we want you to feel comfortable. So,
I think honestly, in understanding it now a little bit better for myself, the amount of time that it takes to, like, keep the face looking as fresh as yours is. I mean, you look good, but, like, when you're camping and you're out in a field and, like, you have to go on camera and, like, the beard is just like, it's one less thing to worry about. Like, I don't need to shave. I don't need to worry about, like, oh man, it's a little agitated or anything. But this is where I'm at.
It's much easier for the crew behind the scenes. We look like a bunch of filthy animals where you have to somehow, look presentable. Meanwhile, camping, in a state park somewhere. So, I do think the beard is probably the most efficient way to go for this production, because, we could get caught in that middle ground where you got half a beard or you got the stubble and it looks a little questionable. So
you just look rough. You look rough. Hey, Arthur, how's my can you look on the live stream, the restream, and tell me what am I at out of 10 on my broadband?
What are you at out of 10? You are a 9 out of 10. So I see you perfectly. You're looking good.
Okay.
Can't hear. Things are frozen. Sorry, Cheryl. I hear Luke. I apologize. This isn't a perfect science, but we will, we will improve on it in the future. But I think, it all depends on people's broadbands, and if the weather's poor and Luke's in the middle of nowhere, it can be rough at times. So you're just gonna have to deal with it for now. But Luke, did you get a chance to watch the episode? I apologize for everybody out there that we were a little bit late on the YouTube. We've got our YouTube channel below if you haven't already. Check it out. Subscribe to the channel. Most Thursdays it'll be posted at 6:30. But last night it was not. I apologize. Brewers opening day, and then there was a Bucks game, and then there was all sorts of shenanigans in between. So I apologize. I'm only human. I'm only a boy from Wisconsin, and sometimes there's priorities. And I'm sorry to the Wagyu fans out there that got posted a little bit late. But by the looks of it, everybody found it and they're watching the video. So make sure, if you haven't seen it yet, head on over to youtube.com/Wisconsin Foodie. Check out the newest episode, Wagyu with Drath Family Farms, as well as Todd Leach from Rare Steakhouse. While you're there, hit that subscribe button, become a subscriber. I know, Luke, since you threw out the challenge of the 10,000 subscriber, getting a dinner at the Driftless, we have been creeping up to that number pretty quickly. I think we've, over the last week or so, we've gotten about 300 new subscribers. So we appreciate that. If you are a YouTube subscriber, a recent YouTube subscriber, an old YouTube subscriber, thank you so much for that support. With that said, I want to bring in our first guest. Our first guest is Kerry and Nathan Drath. These this was a fantastic story. I mean, the product. I know you were a bit new to the product of Wagyu, and it's something for it's something very special that we have here in Wisconsin. It's a special product, and I think we really wanted to just kind of look at all angles of what this was about. From the domestic side of raising Wagyu here in Wisconsin to importing Wagyu from from Japan, and it is just such a fantastic, for meat eaters out there. It is just one of those things you have to put on your bucket list. It is it's like eating meat butter. So after watching this episode, Luke, what did you think, man? Did you think we did a good job telling that story?
Yeah, I think we always do. We always hold people in such a beautiful light, and I don't think that the Drath brothers and their farms are any different, nor Chef Todd at Rare. The thing you kind of mentioned it a little bit in the intro, but there's so much backstory for this. Like, this was part of a pretty significant road trip this last summer where we started in Appleton, and then we actually filmed and we came to the Drath farm, and like Ogdensburg was a part of the state that I had never been. For those of you who don't know, I'm going to do the Wisconsin map here. If let's say this is Green Bay, Appleton area, and here's Stevens Point, like Ogdensburg is like right in here. So it's Wapaka County, almost right smack dab in the middle of the eastern part of the state. And it was beautiful. I was really struck by it had some gorgeous rolling hills, and I think we had a full crew. We had Nelson and Dan with us out in the field, which is always a great time because they get a chance to see this whole thing come together and capture parts of the story. But, being on the Drath farm, I'm constantly struck with the innovation of Wisconsin farmers, and specifically folks who have transitioned from milking cows to whatever's next. So this is a diverse farm. You see ginseng, you see different facets of growth and appreciation, but then you see the Wagyu beef. And at first glance, not really knowing what you're looking for, it was hard to tell. But I think the guys, Nathan and Kerry, will have a better words to tell the story of what it was like when we landed on the farm, and then how the shoot actually progressed, because it was really, really fun. It was a great time.
Yeah, well, that's a great segue. So let's introduce our guest here. We've got Kerry, I think, and then his brother will be showing up eventually, right?
Yes, that'd be right.
Welcome, Kerry. How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming on. We appreciate you here. We appreciate what you do, and my God, we were all salivating for a little Drath Wagyu after that episode last night. That was, I know when we left, just opening that freezer at the shop was it's this heavenly glow. And, we picked up a couple of things while we were there, and I, took them home to the family. And, I think I've spoiled everybody in the household, because nobody wants to eat a burger that is not a Drath Wagyu burger, because those burgers, and I shouldn't be saying this because I want to still be able to buy them, but those burgers are unreal, right? I mean, that is just that is a fantastic burger. Everything else as well is just
you can get hooked on that stuff so easy. I mean, especially it's important to give it to your kids, because I want them to be hooked on that type of burger.
I mean, the fat is healthy fat, right? I mean, it's the same fats and salmon and all sorts of other good stuff. So
and when you eat that burger, your lips are soft when you get done. If you ever felt that before, you don't find that with any other burger that I've ever had, at least. So when you eat that Wagyu, you can definitely feel it. I mean, on your lips.
Yeah, these lips, soft.
Yeah.
So if you have chapped lips, get yourself some Drath Wagyu burger. I mean,
that's right.
It's going to help more than just your lip. It'll help everything. It's going to it'll give you a nice glow afterwards. So,
Kerry, can you talk to us a little bit? What was that transition like? I know that, and I kind of briefly mentioned it. You grew up dairy farming,
yes.
So many people in Wisconsin, so many farmers. What kind of prompted this transition to ginseng and then Wagyu beef?
Well, I guess the reason being is because I knew I wasn't going to milk cows all my life, and I did not want to do the large herd expansion. I didn't feel that was the right fit for me or our family here. So I actually transitioned into ginseng, and so that was a good thing to do. And then I also worked food service at I was in the kitchen for a while, but then I also tended bar as well, and that's what I enjoyed, doing that 3 nights a week. And then my father and we had milk cows all the time. So when you get done with work, you came home, you milk cows. Nathan made it back here now.
Hey, what's up, Nathan?
Yeah,
Hello.
they're live. So yeah, so that was our transition. And matter of fact, we just sold the bulk tank here about 2 weeks ago. So I know I'm not going back milking cows.
Nice. Congratulations.
You must have been
Yeah.
that must have been a celebratory day on the farm, as selling that bulk tank and knowing that you're never going to have to go back to milking those cows twice a day.
Twice a day, yeah. So that's kind of how we transitioned. And then it's like, we got to do something with our farm here. And so feeding cows is a good thing to go ahead and do. And that's what we do now.
Sure. So the farming practices behind Wagyu, because I think like we discussed it a little bit on the show, I know that a lot of really good content, specifically in the conversations, because again, this was almost a brand new ingredient for me, albeit one that I've heard about. And I mean, it wasn't like before I tasted it, I felt like, you can't really reinvent the wheel on beef. I was wrong. I will say right now, I was wrong. But for those people watching at home, like the inputs for the Wagyu beef specifically, I had this perception like that it had to be so much grain and like you're getting beer mash and you're doing like, talk to us a little bit about how farming works when you have such a specialized herd.
Well, on the Wagyu, it's the genetics. I mean, they marble themselves, so you don't have to go ahead and feed it into them like that. I mean, over in Japan, they don't feed them the corns. They don't have to feed them the corn. It's just the genetics. So, and it's good to graze those cattle, and that's what they love is hay, and that's what we feed is hay. They do get a little bit of corn to bring them in because we do embryo work with our cattle because we're expanding the herd, of course. So you got to have them a little bitty treat so they come in. So that's it just makes it easier for those animals to do that. But they're not on a steady diet of grain by any means.
I think one thing that I wish we would have in the episode last night that I struggled with as an editor is you had to trim the farm part down a little bit. And I know that we left off the conversation a little bit of the mixed breeds, right? So the Wagyu is all black. And I'm not sure and I maybe took that out. There's a question where Luke says, how can you tell the difference? And you say they're all black. And I had that in the edit for a little while, but then I took it out because we were seeing other cattle that weren't black, that were different shades. And I thought that might be confusing to the audience. So I kind of left that whole conversation out a little bit. But talk a little bit about you do have crossbreeds, you have different breeds on the farm. Can you talk to us why those breeds are mixed in with the Wagyu?
Those Charolais and Herefords and Angus are there. Those are our surrogates. So what we do with them, because they're easily accessible, we go ahead and purchase those cows, and then we go ahead and create embryos with our full-blood Wagyu cow and the bull, and then we put them into those cows. So to increase the herd to any magnitude, you have to do that to keep rotating it up. So that's the reason why you're seeing the other colored breeds in there. But their calves are full bloods. And then after you use so many embryos into those cows, if they don't stay with that embryo, they do run with our bulls. So there you go. Just by default, you are going to get some crossbreds. They're very good beef. There's no question about that. But they're still not full bloods. I mean, it's still more important to have full bloods 100%. Because then we can get that registration paper from the American Wagyu Association. And the customer doesn't want to be tricked.
Right.
They just don't. And the consumers are very smart. So go ahead and test it. Go ahead and do this kind of thing. I was in the ginseng industry. Over in China, they have a lot of fakery, you would call it. So it's important to test your product and have that all available for the consumer. That's the most important thing that I see.
Yeah, and that was, honestly, that's another big part that we left out of the episode, which is the ginseng farm. So not only you're doing two kind of specialty crops. You've got one
Yes.
with the Wagyu and one with the ginseng, and that's a really unique sort of situation. And they're just, the show is for us. We have to make a show out of 21 minutes, and sadly something has to go. And I felt that the ginseng was part of the story. That I felt like the Wagyu was the most fascinating part of the story and the theme of the episode. So, but I, we have all this great footage, and maybe at some point we'll do a little behind the scenes edit with with the ginseng, because I think that's such a fascinating story here in Wisconsin, and that's a high value commodity product too. So like we look at the Wagyu beef from Japan as being this very high quality beef. The Chinese look at our ginseng as being like the premium product. The Wisconsin ginseng is the Wagyu beef of the United States, or however you want to put that analogy together. But it's a very high, it's a premium product, I think, in Japan, where they would label it Wisconsin ginseng. I might, maybe I'm wrong on this. You probably know better, but the Wisconsin ginseng is a high quality product, is it not?
Yes. Oh yeah. I mean, we're affected by EPA and FDA, and we have to test everything. The Ginseng Board of Wisconsin. I mean, we do a lot of things to make sure that the consumers in China and Chinatowns, they want the good product, and it's, they don't mind paying a fair price for the right product that you're getting. I mean, that's what I found out through the years. And so when we went with a Wagyu, it really was a no-brainer. You give the consumer what they want. It's okay. Just don't, I mean, if you want a crossbred, that's perfectly fine. But as long as they know they're getting a crossbred, it's fine.
And then we got a question from Cheryl, longtime fan. Cheryl, thank you so much for watching every week and engaging with us. We really appreciate it. But she asks, do you guys keep the bulls or do you use artificial insemination?
Go ahead, Nate.
We basically do both. We started out with AI, artificial insemination, right away. And then because we do embryo work, so that's how we have to do it. And then when our cows we got so many cows, we couldn't really keep up. So what I do is when we have our breeding program, we'll breed the first time as AI, and then we'll put them out with a bull. So the bull will cover them. If they didn't take on AI, the bull will catch them on the next cycle or the next 2 cycles. Then when they come in and we check them, see who's pregnant, who isn't. If they're not producing, they sometimes have to leave us. Sometimes they don't. But that's basically how we do that.
And Nathan, I have to say that, that was the other scene that got cut out of the show was talking about the bull semen and art of, the insemination and that whole process, which I think is like, fascinating, but when we're editing the show and I'm trying to cut for time a little bit, we, I had to cut that scene where Luke meets you there. But then you guys go to the store and, so it starts like, hey, Luke, how you doing? And you're about to go into this huge conversation about, the genetics, but then it cuts to you're walking into a store and you're looking at the cuts. And, so fascinating conversation. It was really pretty great, but that unfortunately hit the edit room floor as well. So I apologize, Nathan. There's something really valuable in that footage, and you did a great job.
I don't mind that at all because I like keeping that pretty big secret on my part.
Yeah. And then what we're talking about, a food show and people getting hungry for Wagyu, talking about bull semen is it's not the most appetizing. The appetizing.
Are we going to caviar? Embryos and caviar?
I gotta say,
it's like caviar. It is like caviar. If you want to try it, call up the Drath brothers. I'm sure they could supply some for you.
Oh my God.
They won't.
I have such PTSD from caviar. No, the sturgeon caviar, delicious, amazing process. I don't know if you tell me that I'm going to go to a farm to sample like cow caviar, I'm going to be skeptical, and my daily rate's going to go up. But I want to say that I thought that was like one of the most classic transitions ever. It was a beautiful one. You meet Nathan. Hey, Luke, how's it going, buddy? And he's holding the semen tank, and like, I think Dan, our cameraman, like he was all about like the liquid nitrogen, like getting all those swirling, beautiful shots coming off of it. We spent a fair amount of time there, going through that process. But it's fascinating. And I don't think actually there's another style of farming in Wisconsin that is so I mean, it's precise. What y'all do, this is not like happenstance when you're talking about the registration of these animals. And I don't think people at home necessarily understand that. Talk to me a little bit about these papers, like, because this is a totally new phenomenon for me as well. Like the paperwork that goes into producing a 100% Wagyu beef herd.
It's a never ending process. It's daunting.
Yeah.
um, I let the calves get a little older. They're about 6 months. You actually take an ear snippet out of their ear, like a tissue sample, and you actually send it into a laboratory, and then they come back with a DNA test. And then the association will cross-reference to see what animals that consist in that DNA percentages. And then you got to get them registered. Then you got to make sure that all goes right. Sometimes, there's some mistakes, that also they go, well, this isn't the right cow or the right calf or this and that. So then I have to dissect my records because sometimes it's a bull, sometimes it's the AI. They're two different bulls. So sometimes I even have a third bull, like we have 2 herd bulls now. So we really sometimes don't know which bull it is until the DNA comes back. And just the whole process of it's a never-ending process. I always have stuff on my desk ready to go or do this, do that. But there's a lot of cost factor to that too.
Yeah.
I mean, people don't understand. It costs so much per animal, plus your time and effort, plus the vials you have to buy and the tags and just to send it in. It's daunting. It's daunting. You get behind, then you decide to do it for a couple of days and you get it all caught back up and away you go. But I usually wait until they're a little older, just because it seems like it's easier for us to do it at that age. But yeah, it's daunting. That's all I got to say. It's never ending on that.
So with that, like I would imagine, and I'll be transparent. One of the reasons that I had never really worked or tasted Wagyu beef is because I like knowing where my food comes from, specifically in the restaurant scenario, right? I don't mind any of that, but like trust is so important. I will say all the time, like, if you're a small farmer, whatever, maybe you're organic, maybe you're not. It doesn't necessarily matter to me if I know you and I know that you're doing things the right way. But do you have customers who actually request documentation and paperwork? How often does that come into play with people you sell the beef to?
Honestly, once they meet us, see our process, start trusting us, basically, it really doesn't come into play too much. Restaurants like to say, hey, this is the animal. They like knowing that, if you could show a certificate and go look up, anybody can go to the American Wagyu Association and look up their FE numbers or FB numbers. You can look at the lineage of the animal. You put the number in, boom, it comes up, and anybody can go do that. It's kind of neat, if you're sitting there doing nothing on your computer, you can go look it up. And you can see how many animals, like if you had a cow number on it, like a FB number, you can see how many babies she had. You can get all that record just by going on the American Wagyu Association, putting the right number in. It's kind of cool because you know where it's coming from.
Yeah.
But most of the time around here, once they see the process, they see our farm, it's the trust issue, and people usually have no problem. It's usually, okay, if that's what you said it is, that's what it is.
Yep. Just tell them the truth.
Yeah,
That's
just
all
tell
you
them the truth. It's a lot easier. If you're lying, you got to always remember that. If you tell the truth, you don't have to remember nothing. It's the truth.
Right. No, that's totally. Those are words to live and die by. I mean, and specifically from a chef's perspective, when you're purchasing for people who are going to come into the restaurant, and you want to be able to tell the stories. I mean, that's quite frankly where the beauty and the magic lives, is when people get that story and they're like, man, that Drath family farm up in Ogdensburg, where's Ogdensburg? Well, you get to do a little bit of geographical information, but then you get to turn them on to this product that is uniquely Wisconsin. And then some of the health benefits about Wagyu beef that I wasn't really necessarily that up to date on. So I felt like when I left the farm, I had all this brand new information that makes total sense. But can you recap a couple of the health benefits of Wagyu beef for people who are tuning in now?
Well, the health benefits come because of omega-3 and omega-6s. I mean, that's what it comes down to. If you go to a doctor and say, eat more salmon. But you got to eat a little red meat too. How are you supposed to do that? A lot of people that we do service, they like that aspect of it, because now they can have some red meat. They can eat a 6, 10, 12-ounce steak and it's great for them. I mean, will they eat it every meal? No. Will they eat it once a month? Oh yeah, they'll eat it that for sure. But it gives you the omega-3 and omega-6s of the soft fat. I mean, it doesn't clog your arteries as quick. That's basically what it is.
Yeah.
And at least you're getting your red meat, your higher protein. It just makes sense, especially with all the health benefits out there with people want to be healthier. It just makes it better, makes it easy to enjoy red meat. That's what it comes down
after
to.
last night's episode, I quickly went to your website to see oh God, I got to order some of this stuff right now. And your website was down. I would assume everybody had the same exact idea to go to your website and to order. Is that the best place for people to find your product, or what is the best way for people to get Drath Family Farms Wagyu beef?
Basically, what we do now is go subscribe to our website so we can get you on the newsletter, and then basically email me, text me right off the website, and then basically what happens, give me your address, your name, phone number, and tell me what you'd like, and then I can get you a shipping quote. Most of the time, all this stuff gets shipped. So, each person, I want 2 steaks, 3 steaks. I want this box. Usually if it's in the Midwest, it costs about anywhere from $20 to $30 for shipping. It all matters how big a box it is, all that stuff. So I give you a quote. Basically, you call me and I do it hands-on. We looked at e-commerce websites, this and that. Then we got to keep track of inventory. And, with a family farm, we want to be handling the customers. We want to go to them. We want to be talking to them. It's like you said, it's the story. You got Ogdensburg, they start talking. I mean, I just came back from a customer that just lives 10 miles away. She never knew we were here. And she showed up for some burger. She goes, "Oh, I didn't know that." I said, "Oh, here." And I briefed her on everything, and she brought her dad. It was a great time. I mean, it was only 10 minutes, but she was happy. She was, "I'll be coming back next, summer when my kids come up, because then I'll buy more." That's what it's about.
Great.
I mean,
I think our goal later is to convince, we're going to have to convince Chef Todd from Rare Steakhouse to carry the Drath Family Farms beef, because we know he's going to get questions about it. And I think if there's a place, if we always love making that connection, right? So people watch the episode, they're going to want to try some beef. What I really want to try, though, is that A5 next to some full-blood Wisconsin Wagyu, and really see what the difference is there. I think that would be a fun taste test. I may need to go in and do that taste test sometime soon. Yep. So
I'll go with you, because
you want to come with me? Okay, you bring your product down. We'll go together and we'll sit down and do a taste test.
We get all that stuff. Oh, is it an A5? It's an A5. Then you have to see what an A5 actually is.
What is
it's only need to be such a percentage of fat. Like Chef Todd was saying, it's an 8 and above, 8, 9, 10, 12. 12 up to Japanese scales. Ours are hitting that. Ours hitting the fat content of that. And it's darn close. I mean, he had a beautiful piece of meat there. I mean, that was a 12 for sure, if not. But they certify it. I mean, I could certify our meat too, but there's more cost. I mean, I can go take a picture, send it over to Japan. They have a certification. They'll send it back, say this portion is this much right here. Yeah. Then we could actually get it to qualify as an A5 grade if we did all that extra work. So it's a great jewel for Wisconsin.
And on that note, I mean, do you see at all that Wagyu beef farming is possibly a way for Wisconsin farmers to re-innovate? And do you see more people getting into raising Wagyu beef, or is it something that's so specialized and you have to have so much paper or patience for the paperwork that people may not lean in?
What's really happening in the industry is people are breeding these to their Holsteins, getting crosses. Okay. That's basically what they're doing. They're breeding this black bull to a cow to get a black calf. They get more money at the market, or they raise them up. There's a couple farmers around here that are raising up their own Wagyu halves, F1s, F2s, and they're using it as supplemental income. They're selling meat, they're doing this, they're doing that, but they're not full bloods. Sure. And you can never get a cross like that to 100% full blood. You have to start out with a full blood to keep them there. Okay. You can't breed up into 100%. Sure. You can never do that. And that's why we started with 100%. I mean, if we're going to start this, let's start it right. Because everybody advised us to, start crossing your cows, do this, do that. And I'm like, that don't make sense to me, because it's going to take me so much longer to get where I want to. And then I'm not going to get there because it's not 100% full blood.
Right.
Is it good meat? Yes. It's solid. It's great hamburger meat. The steaks are above average. You'll be a prime plus when you cross an animal. You will. It will be a prime plus. But will it get to be a 5 or a 6 on a Japanese scale? It'd be pretty hard to.
Sure.
You're really going to have to work at it to get that marbling started. So yes, in the industry around here, a lot of guys are starting to breed. A lot of the AI companies are buying Wagyu bulls now because they're starting to get notoriety of more marbling. You breed an old cow with a Wagyu bull and you can sell that for a high market price. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
But it's not truthful. It's Wagyu. And what percentage is it? That's why we're adamant always saying 100% full blood, because we have to go through hoops to get that. So if it's Wagyu, that's fine, but it's got to be a percentage. You got to tell the people what it is.
Mm-hmm. It's all about transparency.
It's what it is. Always
well,
has been, always will be.
You're doing great things, and we are really excited for any sort of I know we're trying to plan. Luke and I are trying to plan a maybe an event this year where we bring a bunch of our the folks from our show to one location so our fans can come out and do a little sampling of all sorts of tasty goods. And it's also a good opportunity for you guys to network with some of the other people that have been on our show, because that's really what it's all about is making sure everybody knows everybody and everybody can work together. So, and I just want to be around you guys as much as possible because I am addicted to this meat. I have a 10-year-old that wanted to go to, after watching some of the footage that when I brought it back, he wanted to go to a rare steakhouse. And so we went as a family, and I think he was 9 at the time, but he sat down and that's what he ordered. I know we went to Rare and Chef Todd was awesome in getting us in, but he ordered we had 2 different varieties of Wagyu and we split it, and he was in heaven. He loved it so much. So we have spoiled our child, and that's all he wants to do is he refuses any other meat except for Wagyu. So
you're creating a monster.
You're in trouble.
Yeah.
I know. Tell me about it. Good thing I have a food show and I know all you guys. So even worse. Kerry, Nathan, really appreciate you guys spending the time with us, and make sure to head on over to drathfamilyfarm.com. Reach out to Nathan if he can be your Wagyu fixer. He'll make sure he hooks you up with the beef. I'm going to send you my credit card number later on. So I need to get some of those burgers. I need to get prepared for baseball season. And we're going to do the tailgating right. I mean, people are going to be jealous about our burgers in the parking lot. But guys, really appreciate it. We're going to keep in touch, and we're going to make sure that we somehow connect you with Todd Leach at some point so he can do a special of Drath Family Wagyu in Rare Steakhouse at some point. Because that'd be a fun night. Maybe you guys can come down. We can all dine together.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, we appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Hey,
All right, guys. Let's keep in touch. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much for your time. All right, man. Those guys are great. We never talked to him. We never talked to him about your cooking skills. Hold on. They're still there. We got to bring them back. We got to talk about this. All right.
I didn't know
we did not talk about it, but that is the funniest scene that I think I've ever seen. Like, I don't, it was probably our fault from a camera perspective of just setting you guys up back there, and like you guys are just staring at Luke the whole time making that.
Yeah, we're like, oh my goodness.
And we're making it outside on this aluminum pan during a windy day. That was, hey, we made it look good, right? Though, like we made it look pretty flawless. That was very flawed situation. That was not an easy task for your first time cooking Wagyu, Luke. So why don't you talk us through that?
My wife says, "Wow, you guys really had an expression on your face watching him." I go like, "Oh yeah."
So
we're waiting for it to blow up, and it did.
I've cooked.
That's what it did.
I've cooked for celebrities, Arthur. I've cooked for some very, very high-profile figures across the world, frankly. And cooking for the Drath brothers was one of the most stressful cooking events I've ever participated in. Not because their sheer physical presence and proximity to the cooking process. I mean, you were right there with me. We were on a camping stove on the back of like my tiny camper. And like we're firing this thing up, and like I'm trying to get this pan so hot. And then if you don't play with the propane right, it starts to freeze up. And of course, Nathan notices it before I even do. He's like, "You're starting to freeze up, starting to freeze up." And then when I'm like seasoning it, of course, I have a different perspective because I haven't actually had Wagyu beef before. So I'm like salt, black pepper, like, oh, this is what I like to do. And man, oh man, I was excited about the outcome. Like we got the shot, but it wasn't without the growing pains. I will tell you that. I felt like I definitely had to sweat for that one. And
that was the first thing we shot too. So I mean, sometimes we shoot out of order. So we roll up into the Drath family farm, and the first thing we do is cook this steak without doing anything else, because we were going to go to the farm the next morning, because we slept in so basically where we cooked that steak, we all slept that night. So we cooked the steak and we basically went to bed right there that night. And and then we woke up the next day and did the tour of the farm, and we kind of did everything backwards. So the way you see it is kind of in reverse on how we shot it, because we shot that cooking scene right away. So that was like Luke's introduction. That was all of our introductions together, is like, here are the two most beautiful steaks you ever seen in your life. There you go, Luke. Cook them outside on the aluminum pan on the back of the rig. Oh man, wow. That was funny. We made it work. It looked great. I cut out some of the stuff to make it work, and Nelson did work magic on that edit, because that was, man, that looked seamless.
Yeah,
and it looked great. The steaks look great. I just love the comment where it's like, so how how does it look in? And you're like, it looks good. It looks good.
Yeah.
It's okay so far.
I'm glad Chef Todd helped you out though.
Yeah.
Well, like you're in a restaurant kitchen, of course. It's easy. You can fire that up. You can get those pans exactly where you want. That little teeny tiny bit of olive oil, how the pans react, all those things. When you're out kind of cooking on the back of a trailer in the open air, like you've got so many variables. And then to know, I mean, I know as a chef that these products are expensive. They just are. They're a premium product. You're never going to get another steak like the ones that we had that day, because each one of them is unique. Each one of them has a little bit of a different genetic lineage. You've got all these variables. So there's a pressure, right? In Chef Todd's kitchen, it's like, okay, I at least understand what's here as a baseline. But out there in Ogdensburg, I mean, we don't know. Maybe the air burns differently out there. Maybe it's like cooking at high altitude. I don't know. But I sure found out. And Arthur for throwing me right into that hot mix.
Yeah, that was we made that one look all right, but back maybe I would have tried to go somewhere else. I don't know. If I could rethink that one, that would be the one scene that I'd want to redo and maybe go somewhere. But whatever, it is what it is. That's what happens with Wisconsin Foodie. It's very
it really worked out.
Pants.
It was good comedy.
Yeah,
at our party that we had last night, they watched it and they all started giggling and going, "Oh boy!" And your little blurb that you put in beforehand, like you wrote it out and said that, everybody started going, "Wow, he was really nervous, wasn't he?" I said, "He must have been."
Yeah, it was fun there. I was like, "Oh gosh, this can't fail. It can't fail." I mean, come on.
Good stuff, guys. Well, I thanks for putting up with us, and thanks for letting us stay on your property and cook that steak there. And you guys, I have to say that you guys were so hospitable with us, and it's so terrific to run into people like that are very open to the experience, and you were just throwing steaks at us left and right. And that the other scene that we left out too, we shot this really cool scene with the tomahawk chop, or the tomahawk steak that you had. We have a cooking scene in the Driftless Cafe. So I guarantee you we will release that at some point, because it is a really, really cool scene. The way Luke prepared that meat was really fantastic. There was a torch. There was all sorts of. It was crazy, and it was delicious. And we'll have to share that with you. Maybe we'll maybe you guys bring a tomahawk chop again, and we'll try to cook that one up. But
we'll come down there and let him do it again at his place.
Yeah.
Just on the camper stove.
On the camper stove.
I took herbs. I wrapped it all around that tomahawk bone, like a lot of rosemary, a lot of thyme, like really big aromatics. Seared the tomahawk like real quick, and then cut it off the bone, sliced it, laid it on that bone, took a torch, and actually roasted all those herbs super hot. And so it kind of had this smoky perfume. So you get the sear. You get all that beautiful like lanolin, all that delicious fat there, but then you get this aromatic essence, because you don't really need to change the flavor of that beef. You don't want to. It's too good. But that like actual smoking, I mean, it permeated that fat so nicely. Oh, I'd love to drop that one on you guys again. So yes, we'll be in touch.
Okay.
Be in touch.
All right, guys. Hey,
Hey,
thanks so
thank
much
you,
again,
guys.
guys. Appreciate your time, and we'll talk to you guys soon. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
Cheers. All right. Yeah, you know, sometimes we leave things out there, and wow, that scene was fantastic.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that happens.
That was of all the cooking scenes that we've shot now over like 4 seasons, whatever. That one was the hardest. It really was.
Hey, Luke, we have an offer here from one of our favorites, Jim. Jim is offering to be your sous chef. I know the cafe's always looking, and so Jim, this could be your calling. You could come and help Luke do stuff in the cafe anytime.
Totally. Or like always on the road too. It's crazy because there's such a duality to what we do. I mean, showing up and shooting a television show is one thing, but then like the production, the pre-production, like what do we pack? What do we bring along? Look at this equipment list. I think it was directly after this shoot that we went out and we bought an upgraded stove. So that way we're not trying to do all these things on a camping stove. So the farmers who grew the food aren't looking at us like, are you sure you're going to be able to execute this? And looking at me like I don't know what I'm doing. Because man, oh man. I just want to honor the ingredients and their hard work and their love and their passion. So we're getting there.
Well, we've got another special guest today, and this is Todd Leach from Rare Steakhouse here in Milwaukee. Really excited about this shoot. Really excited to be in the kitchen with Todd. He's just such a professional. One of those guys that it's not all about him. It's not all about being a celebrity chef. He is I mean, he is just such a fantastic guy. An incredible chef, and just banging it away every single day in that kitchen. And this guy, for me, really deserves as much credit as we can give him. So hopefully, the show turns some people on to Rare and to Todd. But let's bring him in. Let's talk to Todd right now. So Todd, welcome to the show, my friend. How you doing today?
Hey guys, how are you?
Good. Hey, thanks for your patience here while we talk to the Drath brothers.
Chef, how are you?
Now, is there any?
I'm good.
Is there anything? Can we do a night where we do the draft as a special at Rare? I mean, what do you think about that? We'll bring the guys in. We'll do a special night at Rare, and we'll throw out some different cuts of Wagyu, and we'll bring the Drath brothers down there to talk about their Wagyu. What do you think? Will that work?
Yeah, I'm game for that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anytime
we're going to set it up
Wagyu
behind the scenes, and anybody that's watching this live stream, maybe we'll attach it to the comments, or I'll search for the people that are watching live. I'll invite the folks that are actually watching this live stream. They can have first dibs on the tickets to that thing, because that would be a lot. That'd be a lot of fun.
That's like a good Insta hype thing, Arthur. We should do a giveaway. Maybe not at this moment. I don't want to put Todd on the spot with this, but like I think that there are giveaways coming in our future here, and I would love to dine with people, because I think Rare Steakhouse is actually really unique. Talk to us about the Steakhouse Ethos, Todd, because I think it's one of those dining trends that people in the upper Midwest, we think of supper clubs, we think of steakhouses, we think that they are the exact same thing back and forth. What is it about a steakhouse that makes it super unique and special?
Well, we use all prime meat. Everything we do is all prime. We use the best ingredients that we can get. We're probably a step above a steakhouse or a supper club per se.
Yeah.
We just use the best ingredients, and we take it a step above that.
Yeah. I think your dining room too is very, I mean, it's just elegant. It's such an
very rich
experience. The wine list is super curated. The whiskey, the scotch, the bourbon, all of that is very curated. This is the type of place that you want to show up and have that dining experience that is just like, it's so solid. There's a lot of frills, but it's not like super foo-foo. Are you gonna get a foam on anything at the Rare house? Are you a foamer, Todd?
A foamer? No,
Yeah.
absolutely not. I let
you know,
the steaks. I let the steaks speak for themselves. I mean, that's the star of the plate. We don't, like I said in the filming, we're not reinventing the wheel.
Right, right. And you don't need to.
No. Mm-mm.
So I want to talk for a second, if we can, about the Wagyu choices, that you would find at Rare Steakhouse. I was looking at your menu. I was writing about it this last week, and even just thinking about it, that A5 was incredible. Super huge beefy flavor. It's one of those flavors that I think you can't really describe in words. How do you have your front of the house sell Wagyu beef? What is it? What is it from the mind of a chef?
I have them eat it first, so they can describe it themselves. I go through all of the details of where it's from, everything, how we get it, so they know as much possible about it as they can. The more they're educated, the easier it is for them to sell it. And for that, they have to eat it.
Yeah.
So I am a true believer of them eating all of our food, whether it's the Wagyu or any of the different steaks or any of the other dishes. They eat every bit of it.
Nice. I like that. Do you think that your experiences with Wagyu, how did you actually come into that ingredient? Like, what did that mean for you, and what was your first experience with it?
Actually, when I first started at Rare, they had the A5 there already. And getting with the purveyor that we get that from, he introduced me to all these different kinds.
Okay.
One part that I wish that we would have shown on the episode was your aging room. Dude, that was
Yeah.
a real, like, really cool scene. I thought, maybe we talked that you were expanding on that, or you were changing that up a little bit. But that was a cool experience, just to see all that beautiful meat aging and hanging. That would be a fun one to revisit sometime, showing people what that looked like. 'Cause that was very cool.
Yeah, anytime you want to come down, that would be fun.
So the olive, you were actually super generous and kind. You let me walk out with the chunk. Was it like an ounce, maybe 2 ounces of olive?
Yeah.
And I took it. I was so moved by that experience. Get the joke in there, Arthur. Moved. And
Moved.
okay. So my career in stand-up is not going anywhere.
I've told you that many times. No, just kidding.
Yeah. But I took it over to my brother's house, and my brother has dined all over. Has this amazingly refined palate, and I seared it off and I sliced it. And he and I both have that same reaction when sometimes words fail us. We're just kind of reduced to like emotional puddles. And again, in his kitchen, like we were both like chewing, and I was trying not really that hard to like not cry, because I think what it does to your brain is it short circuits it. You don't have necessarily the sensory descriptors to process what your palate is picking up, and it's overwhelming. Like I think it short circuits me. Do you do that on purpose? Like how do you prepare and serve something that beautiful? What's the secret?
Well, we take very good care of that meat, and it's any ingredient like that. We treat it with respect and love, and we want to get it to the diners and the guests in the best way that we can.
Yeah, that's like the hallmark, I feel like, of Rare. When the times that I've been there, for me, hospitality is a huge thing. Like we talked to Amy at the Del Bar. You have something very, very similar going on, where I feel like hospitality is such a huge component of that dining room. Our wait staff that we had with us was he was the waiter, and I forget his name. I apologize to him, but he was fantastic. I think he was in law school. And but this was his part-time gig, and that dude, he was telling stories, and my son picks up on that. He loves wait staff that like talk and tell stories, and like that's really what hooks him to a restaurant. And that's why he wants to go back is when he has somebody that's that engaging, but they're the right amount of engagement, where it's not like overbearing, It's just they're hitting all those notes. They're giving you suggestions, and then they're away, and then they come back when they know they need to. And I think that is my favorite thing outside of the food and the meat. But that's the reason that I love coming to Rare is for that experience, to come sit down in that gorgeous dining room. And unfortunately, we didn't show any of that in the show. We stuck in the kitchen, which is something nobody gets to see typically. But the dining room, I think, for Rare is just such a treat, such an experience. And then the wait staff, it just complements that food that comes out. It's worth. I mean, whatever I don't even think about what the bill costs. Unfortunately, it's just worth that experience. If you're going to go to a sporting event and drop a couple $100s on a sporting event, this is on that par. You go and it is like going to the Packers or the Brewers. You're cheering on the meat. It's an experience. It's entertainment. It's just such a good time, and I cannot wait to go back. I always think about, what I want to do, Todd, is come back for one of the, when the Bucks are in the playoffs. I want to come back and sit at that bar and order a steak. And I don't know if you guys put that TV on, or maybe in one of those back rooms, and get a bunch of friends and get some nice bottles of wine, some steak, and watch the Bucks back there, because that would be.
We do that all the time. We do that all the time.
I'm gonna reserve. The other thing is, don't you guys have lockers there too? That's the other cool thing. You guys
do, yes.
Are they wine lockers?
Yeah, they can buy the wine lockers, and they can buy the wine from us and store it there. So when they come back for their next visit, they can get their own wine out.
Wow, that's just the coolest thing ever. It's just such, So you guys are doing something really great there. And there's another one in Madison, correct? Is that
there is?
That
yes.
On the same par?
Yes. It's even bigger,
Mm-hmm.
bigger size restaurant, and then we also have one in Washington D.C.
Of course.
So the deal with our restaurant is, as soon as you walk through the door, we want to make the whole experience an experience that you won't forget. Not just the food, but the service, the bar, the drinks, everything we want to be an experience that you won't forget.
Yeah.
I mean, it is.
It is, exactly. Like the ingredients themselves are such an experience that I say that this shoot forever kind of changed the way that I interact with beef. It changed the paradigm on which I judge beef, and even just consuming it. If I'm going to have a steak, okay, I kind of know what I'm getting into, but I know that there's another level, and it's not just a little bit above.
Yeah.
Holy smoke.
It's a lot.
It completely redefines it. It redefines it. That's okay?
It does.
Okay.
Yeah, we did.
Good.
It was a little rough in the beginning, but we were able to get everything back up and running, and
awesome.
What kind of specials do you guys have going on right now with Wagyu? Last time I was in there, you had the snow.
Yeah,
Wagyu.
we had snow Wagyu, which is a Hokkaido snow Wagyu. We're out of that, but we do have the A5 and the olive coming in.
The A5 and olive. So you'll have potentially three different varieties of Wagyu to try. Because when we were there,
just the two.
Oh, just the two. You always just keep the two. Because when we were there, we did the A5 and the snow just to taste the difference between the two, and that was a lot of fun.
What did you think of that? What did you think of the Hokkaido?
Going back on it now, it's hard to. I think we all came to the conclusion that the A5 was something that we could probably eat more frequently, and the snow was something that was just a special treat. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was delicious. A good time, especially when your 9 or 10-year-old is into it as well, and you guys can geek out about Wagyu. That's the goal for us.
Well, I'm glad he was so excited about it.
Yeah. Now he's just got to develop those chompers so he can chew that a little bit better. I think it turned into gum for him for a while. He just couldn't tear that apart. But after you get all those juices out of there, then you're just chewing for a while. But he was good, man. And all the sides you guys had the Rush Creek there when we were there.
Yeah.
Everything, the asparagus, everything was really spot on. I'm getting so hungry. I'm just trying to think of what I'm going to eat for lunch now. That's the problem with this thing. I don't eat lunch before I come on here, and then I start talking about all this food, and I'm like, am I going to eat after this? So,
You know, we sold 200 wheels of that Rush Creek.
that's incredible. That is
Yeah.
really cool. I mean, that cheese is just fantastic.
I talked to Andy after we were out of our first initial and then got more of it in after that.
Well, I think you guys do a really good job selling it too. That was, that was fantastic. I always talk to, cause I'm really close with Andy and the cheese, and I know the cheese very well. And I always want the servers to talk about it because I want to hear what the story they tell about it. And I think your server just nailed it. He knew everything about it, and I think that really helps when you try to sell something like that. So and unfortunately, I think it's going to be a while. It's going to be until next winter before anybody can get that cheese again. So people have to jump on that cheese when it comes out. Rush Creek Reserve, that stuff is incredible. With a little Wagyu, talk about decadent, right? You got your Wagyu, you got a little Rush Creek and a Cabernet. Woo!
Forget about
it. I usually order that from Andy around middle of July. I place my order for that.
Yeah. You got to. Yeah, maybe so that's another. Maybe have you ever brought him in for a dinner? Like I
have not. No.
Yeah, that would be another fun one. He's a good he's kind of a good storyteller, a good entertainer. So in the future years, if you ever want to bring him in there, they also raise pigs too. And I think, don't you carry some of his pigs on the menu as well?
No.
Oh, you don't do that. Okay. Yeah, that's great, man. Wow.
So Luke, how was it cooking the olive Wagyu for you?
Oh, I mean, so as a segue from the last segment, doing it right, hot pan, salt and pepper. It's one of those ingredients, and I say this about beef all the time. It really doesn't need much. Good beef doesn't need a lot of adulterant. So like salt, black pepper, just a teeny tiny amount of oil in that pan to be able to, have a conductor of that heat to the actual protein itself. And it's you just let it get charred, so you get a little bit of that crisp. You give it a flip, you give it a rotate, you let it rest for a couple seconds, and it's gorgeous. I mean, usually I think like a little less cooked, the better. But a nice medium rare where it's warm all the way through, and it gives some of that fat a chance to kind of rearrange itself. It's out of this world. It really is out of this world. It's not like eating anything else. I don't know how to describe it, honestly. I've words for like 6 months now, but it's this completely different dining experience. And actually, one of the comments that I see on the sidebar from Cheryl is like, "Does that work?" Wagyu beef is something that you don't need a lot of. I think as a chef, I like to prioritize quality over quantity sometimes. I want you to have a few bites of this super intense, flavorful experience, and then be able to kind of process it and move on. There's a thoughtfulness to it. And an ounce of Wagyu, right. I mean, it's one of those ingredients that like you cultivate, and farmers like the Drath family, or if you're bringing it in from Japan, like people's livelihoods are based on you having this crazy culinary experience in 1 ounce. And if you had more than 1 ounce, I'm going to say like, sometimes you don't need it. You don't feel like you need it. You're satiated because you've had that experience of a couple bites, and that's good. It's like eating a bar of chocolate. I'd rather have a couple really small good chocolates as opposed to the king size Kit Kat, where I'm going to feel kind of gross afterwards. And don't get me wrong, sometimes I'm going to eat the king size Kit Kat, but I really like cultivating those small portions because it's an experience that you'll never forget.
Yeah, you don't need to eat more than like 4 ounces of it.
No, I don't anyway. Some may differ, and like, good for you. But like, I am good. 4 ounces of that delicious Wagyu. I think it'd be great. And I'm really excited. I really hope, Arthur, that we take this opportunity to bring the Draths into Rare, because I know Todd and his team are exceptional at what they do. I would love to see that point by point comparison of how all this stuff comes together. Because again, like, I love the story. That's what these ingredients signify to me. There's always like so much attention to detail in the farming operations that bring us to the plate. And quite frankly, if it doesn't have a story, it's just another morsel. But man, oh man, when you can buy into that story in every bite, it changes the way we dine.
Yeah, that's great. Well, we will work on that behind the scenes. Again, if you guys whoever's watching this show right now, shoot me an email if you feel like you want to go to the a Drath Wagyu dinner over at Rare Steakhouse here in Milwaukee. That'll be a fantastic night. I guarantee that'll be one of the best dining experiences you have in a while. You'll get to meet the Drath brothers, and Todd himself. I'm sure will definitely make an appearance there.
Only if Luke cooks with me.
Oh wow!
I still got it, baby. I've been proving to myself, reproving. After I'm done here, I'm gonna go into the cafe. I still got the chops. I'm excited.
Yeah, so that's gonna be great. We'll make sure to work on that behind the scenes and kind of put a message out there to this group here and make sure that everybody gets the opportunity to come in and taste a little bit of the Drath Wagyu beef prepared by Chef Todd and maybe Chef Luke. Well, if Chef Luke's not in the dining room entertaining everybody, that means I have to, which is kind of a scary situation. We might have to find somebody here to.
You're all rolling the dice. That's what I'm gonna say. Arthur's gonna turn the Bucks game.
Chef Todd, appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Anytime.
The coolest part one of the coolest facts about Chef Todd that's unknown to everybody here outside of the cooking world is he is one of the most fantastic nature photographers I've ever seen. Just with he is. I think that's one of your hobbies, Todd. If you're not in the kitchen, you are outside taking the photos, and you have some really terrific ones. So what's cooking right now in the woods? What are you looking for right now?
What am I looking for right now?
Yeah. So what are some of the good birds? I know it's coming into probably it's coming into the mating season or of sorts. So I'm sure there's all sorts of cool birds coming into the area.
The shorebirds will start coming in pretty soon in the next couple of weeks, and then in the next month or so, the warblers will all start flying up from South America. So that's kind of a big deal for that. Snowy owls are pretty much gone for the year. Yep. They're back north again. But now we're kind of in the transition period between everything coming and going.
Yeah.
So a lot of stuff will be pretty soon coming up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. So, if you ever see Chef Todd, if you're if you're out in the woods looking at birds and you see Chef Todd out there, let him know you saw him on Wisconsin Foodie.
Yeah, tip your hat.
All right, guys. Well, Chef, is always a pleasure, and we love hanging out with you. We love chatting with you, and we look forward to hanging out very, very soon.
Very much.
That's going to be a fantastic dinner, and I'm definitely going to make it in for a Bucks game. So I guarantee that I will be there, and I hate to bother you when you're in the kitchen, but I'm going to make sure that somebody tracks you down and lets you know that I'm there. And
please do.
We can chat.
Oh,
absolutely.
I typically don't do that, but I like to chat with Todd, and I'll make sure that it's not in the busiest point of the evening. So
I'd be disappointed if you didn't let me know you were there.
There you go.
That's true
awesome.
Hospitality right there.
Fantastic. All right, Chef. Well, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you so much for everything. And if you want to stick around, we've got a preview of next week's show, which is going to be another fantastic one. Luke, can you believe it? There's only a handful of episodes left. There's only after this week, there's 3 episodes left of the season. I mean, it feels like we just started. Not for me, because I've been behind the scenes working on this, and it feels like I've been doing this for the last 5 years. But for you out there, 13 episodes seems to go pretty quick, and we're coming up on our 11th episode, which is going to be fantastic. So if you're interested, stick around. This is the show.
Week on Wisconsin Foodie.
We would like to consider ourselves a soul food restaurant. Soul food is a mixture of food from the South, and we like to tell people we're not fast food, we're good food. That's our motto all the time. She's a smart one, though.
I wasn't gonna say it, but he's a good helper.
What are we gonna do today, man?
We are gonna season some chicken. We mix our own seasonings. We call it cozy seasoning, where we take a few special seasonings, we mix them up.
You're not gonna drop any dimes on what these seasonings might be?
We use seasoning salt.
I'm giddy with anticipation.
Whoa, hot.
Oh my God. It's delicious. I want to do some wings today, and I want to be able to do them in kind of the way that Philip had indicated, which is to not use a buttermilk brine. So as you can see, we're ready for game day. This is Cozy Corner style chicken wings.
There you go, man. Cozy Corner style chicken wings, game day. Yeah, man. So that's gonna be a fantastic. I think everybody I think Cozy Corner is gonna blow up after that episode. Not a lot of people know about that place right now, at least in this area. So I know they know about it in the Appleton area, but I think we are going to send a lot of people their way because that food was incredible, man. That was so delicious. And Philip and his wife are fantastic, fantastic humans. I think the whole family works there. And talk about that soul comfort food, man. They've got it all, and that stuff is just, man, so good.
Totally. I have to say from a television point of view, I don't know if anybody gets more out of like a side grunt than I do, because it seems to be that moment is always captured on film. I think this year, like maybe I develop a tagline this year, like "Kapow" or "Zom out" or something like that.
Zom out was a couple years ago. We did that one already. We're gonna have to. I don't know if we can go back to Zom out, but we're gonna have to figure something out.
But man, oh man, this episode for me is like a testament again, and I say this all the time. I sound like a broken record. The culinary warriors that are hanging out in every single community in Wisconsin, people who are holding on to like food memories and recreating them for people every single day. That's what creates this beautiful fabric of diversity. And quite frankly, that's what I'm so excited to get back on the road here in a couple of weeks and continue to document for y'all, because this is the story of us. So tune in next week. Tune into the live stream. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Weigh in on Arthur's question. Do we keep the beard? Do we leave the beard? What does it look like for this next year? I know how I'm voting. I have a pretty good idea how he's going to vote too. But we love your feedback. Stay tuned. We're just getting started. All right, friends?
Zom out.